Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country or the world and you're watching this. My name is Arion Rushing. I have the pleasure of coming to you all the way from Los Angeles, Torrance, California. And I'm honored to be here this morning. I represent a wonderful company by the name of Primerica. Some of you have maybe heard of it, maybe some of you have not. But listen, our company is an amazing company born in 1977 and the company represents all areas of finance just about. We have a mission of helping families make more money, save more money, become financially independent. And my topic this morning is going to be building wealth through the pandemic. It's an honor again to be here as a part of this economic empowerment symposium. We again appreciate the opportunity to speak. I want to thank my brother and my friend, Reverend Cedric Nelms, for inviting me to be a part of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and just kind of go through some things. This presentation that you're looking at, we show it to everyone, right? So whether the person has $25 or they've got $25,000, we want to show them the very same presentation. And it's simply called the basics of investing. So I'm going to walk you through some different things. And if there's some questions, we can certainly get some questions answered at the end of this presentation. Right. So again, I want to say good morning to everyone and good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. So let's go ahead and get started, ladies and gents. Right. So first and foremost, I just want to start with the mindset. Okay, most of us were raised with some sort of what I've been taught is a money blueprint. Okay, it's how we operate, it's how we function, and how we handle money. And so, one of the scriptures that talks about this, um, Proverbs 23:7, it states, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." Right. So basically, what we're talking about, it affects things. Okay. So the image that you have on your screen, it's an acronym TFAR, right? And it talks about the inner world and how it affects our outer world. Okay. So first of all, the T stands for thoughts. So the things that we're thinking about, right, whether they're good or bad, those thoughts can create feelings. All right. So when we start to feel some kind of way, for example, I like to use the example of television commercials that are directed towards food, let's say, right? You might see something and maybe it's a burger, I don't know, right? But you see something that it starts to look good and it makes you think, hey, it might be good to have one, or you start to feel some kind of way, right? And all of a sudden, before you know it, you're on your way, or maybe you've ordered it to come to your door, or you're there within 24 48 hours ordering kind of what you saw, right? So again, the thought, whether it's good or bad, can lead to a feeling. That feeling, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's good or bad, can lead to an action. And that action, whatever we decide to take, it ends up with some sort of result. So that's TFAR, thoughts, feeling, actions, results. So you might be asking yourself, well, how does this relate to building wealth during a pandemic or any other time for that matter, right? So I'm going to go over some very simple principles that we teach, but again, it starts with money, right? I had an opportunity to watch the main stage this morning, and they talked about some of the same things, right? The thought process, right? The keynote speaker, Mr. Bruce, was talking about the things we talk about. I'm sorry, the things we think about, and what we think about oftentimes will come about. So let's just hold on to this, right? Because if we think negative, right? So a lot of people think the scripture states, right? Money is the root of all evil. A lot of people get that confused, and the scripture actually says the love of money. So there's a key word in there that's missing, but it controls how we think. Thinking that money is evil will subconsciously cause us to push it away, right? If we understand that money is nothing more than a tool, if we understand that money has been utilized for good purposes, just like in some instances it's used for bad purposes, but we get to decide what that is, and money is just a magnifying glass, right? So if you are inherently good and you are able to get money, right, or earn income or build it, then chances are you're going to do something great with that money. And if you're on the other side, then hey, it kind of leans that way, right? But again, it's the thought process. So we don't want to succumb and subject ourselves anymore to thinking that money is bad or that it's evil. We don't want to do that. Why? Because If we need money to fund churches and missions, charities and things of that nature, again, it's just a tool, right? So you're going to do some great things. I know you will with the information that is being talked about today, but I just kind of wanted to focus on that thought process a little bit this morning and let you know, hey, it's not evil, right? You deserve it. That's another one, right? Sometimes we don't think we are worthy of having money or lots of money, right? We think that money is endless, and I think you've seen in this country that it's not. They just kind of continue to print more, it seems, or digitally make more, whatever they're doing these days, right? So it's not limitless, let's say, right? So let's just focus on the positivity and having it and what we'll do with it, not what other people perhaps are doing with it, right? So a couple things we want to show, right? The debt cycle. This is where a lot of families that we meet with are sitting. And quite honestly, your finances control you, right? So what that means is you're outspending your income, borrowing to maintain a lifestyle, and paying off one debt just to accrue another. So the debt is just kind of rolling around and around. Where we'd like to be, where we want to get families to be, is in a cash cycle. And so what this means is that you control your finances. So this means that you are debt free. And I encourage you as well to pay off your mortgage. I know that's not a popular thing necessarily, but if it's a goal of yours and it will help you, right? Because just imagine, just pause for a minute. If you're paying $1,500, $2,000 a month in mortgages, I want you to think if you did not have to make that payment, what could you do with that extra money? Where could you spend it? Could you travel with your family? Could you support some missions and charities? Right. So I encourage you to become debt free, right? Pay things with cash instead of borrowing, and then have investment savings and assets which will contribute to your freedom in life, if that makes sense. Okay. So how do we do this? Here we go. Step number one, learn how to invest. Okay. We should not be afraid of this. I know we were not taught this stuff in school. I know that we unless we enrolled in a class in college, and some of us didn't go to college, we didn't have that opportunity necessarily, right? But you can still learn. We are living in an age and an era of pure information overload, basically, between televisions and iPads and computers, right? There's information really at our fingertips, so you can learn how to invest. If you're not sure where to start, all you have to do is contact myself and I can show you how to start doing this, right? I want you to pay yourself first. Okay. Pay yourself first is a concept that's not very popular because it's not taught on a wide scale, right? One of the things that you have to prioritize is you. You have to prioritize having some fundamental accounts. I'm going to go over those, but above and beyond, you must make yourself a priority. Okay. So, step number two, I want you to accelerate paying off your debt. See, not having debt in a time such as this pandemic, it means that food, the cost of it went up, the gas prices have gone up, things of that nature. Well, if you don't have to worry about paying debt, you can shift that money in the upward shift in the price of food. It doesn't affect you as much, right? If you had to handle an emergency, you've got some emergency money there, okay? So the last step is going to be protecting your income. And what this means, we're talking about insurance, right? You got to insure your income, right? We're talking about life insurance. Insure your income until you build financial independence. Why is this? Because in our zip code, we keep starting at zero every generation. We don't leave behind money. We don't leave behind assets. We don't leave behind a will. We leave behind bills. And so if we're going to change the zip code that we live in, we got to start with the plan, and that's where it is, right? So the first thing, again, paying yourself first, the first fundamental account is going to be an emergency account. I hope and I pray after what we've all just survived through, thank God, right? I hope and pray we understand why we need emergency money tucked away. So the goal of an account, I'm sorry, is to have up to 3 months of our income, whatever your monthly income is, $2,000 a month, whatever that is. The goal should be for you to have at least 3 months of that income tucked away for emergencies, an uncovered medical expense, major car repair. You want to have money set aside and you want to just sit that somewhere, right? And any other money that you're going to spend in zero to about 2 years, you want to hold that in an emergency account. Okay. The second account is going to be what we call a short term account, right? So this is going to be perhaps up to 6 months worth of your income for purchases that you intend to make in the next 3 to 5 years. So what we're talking about, we are talking about planning. Okay. We're talking about planning and putting things in order. So if you want to go and buy a house, and you have a dream of buying a boat, or maybe you've got a Sweet 16, quinceanera, anything of that sort, you plan for it. Don't just rip that money out of a retirement account or something else. Put money away month to month and set it aside in that short term account for anything such as unforeseen events, loss of job, down payment on a house, as I mentioned, right? But again, we're planning for these things instead of just kind of shooting from the hip. Okay, so number three, the third and most fundamental account is going to be the wealth building account. So here we go, right? Wealth building account, the goal is for retirement. And the accounts that can be used to successfully reach these places, an IRA, that stands for individual retirement account. Okay, that's a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, right? Another is going to be your 401k, right? If you have the opportunity to invest in a 401k, I would suggest you do that, especially if they're matching, because this is going to be your company contributing money towards your retirement. But hey, if you're not contributing anything, right? If your contribution is zero, right, their contribution is going to be zero too. So hey, these are things that we can kind of continue chatting about. But there's other stuff, deferred comp, right? Tax deferred accounts that are out there that'll help you make up that third fundamental account. And so retirement accounts are going to be just as important, right? Because again, what we're talking about, right? These three fundamental accounts, these are habits, ladies and gentlemen. We're educating, and in some cases re-educating families on fundamental things that they can do to build wealth. Now, again, the topic is building wealth through a pandemic, but prayerfully, this thing will end soon, right? And so the habits that we're talking about, they're still going to be the same. These habits have been the same for many years. I've been involved in financial services for about 16 years, and these habits have never changed. Why? Because they're foundational, right? They're fundamental things that we can do to start building wealth. Okay. So, what I want to do is I want to teach you guys about a mutual fund. All right. This is one of the most effective long term, okay, keyword, long term investment vehicles. Okay. If you have a 401k, chances are your 401k, what you're actually investing in is a mutual fund. Okay. So, a mutual fund is a collection of individual investors. So, I'll use myself, you know, Johnny and Sally. So, the three of us, let's say we get together, we send our money to a professional money manager. Their sole purpose, their job is to pick the companies in which we invest in. Notice I said companies, more than one. Okay. So their job is to do the research. Their day, they're committed to doing the research. So while we're at work, they're working on companies that will help us to grow our money. So you might ask, well, what companies are you talking about, right? These are not outlandish, or there's nothing wild, right? I want you to look in the orangish, yellowish box, consumer products. Procter and Gamble company. So if that's one of the companies that the money manager picks, the Procter and Gamble company makes Febreze, Crest, Downy, Gillette, and Tide. Hey, you might use another product. Okay, that's okay. But you would have to understand, you'd have to know somebody's using Febreze, somebody's brushing their teeth with Crest, hopefully, right? I'm just kidding, right? Someone is using these products in masses all the time. So the company's actually making money. So, see, if these products are being consumed every day, why would we be so nervous about putting an investment into them? Okay. Entertainment, Walt Disney Company. Hey, Walt Disney had to change the way that they did business a little bit in 2020. But you cannot deny, based on how they got their business set up, right? They got the Walt Disney parks, okay? They've got the Disney Channel. They got ABC television network. That is a part of Disney, ladies and gentlemen. Right. So people were watching, they were listening, right? The Disney stores didn't close. The online process of selling things never stopped. So Disney, maybe they took a hit or a shift, but they were still making money. When they said, "Hey, we're opening back up," there were people online. I heard for 8 hours trying to get their reservation tickets to buy a ticket to get into the park. Disney's not hurting, ladies and gentlemen. You know who's hurting? It's us on the sideline because we've been taught to fear by way of not knowing how this stuff works, right? Pharmaceuticals is on this slide, right? Advil, Lipitor. So maybe you don't take these medications, but in the masses of course, somebody is. Okay, telecommunications. Think about it. We are telecommuting right now. We're using the internet. I'm using computers and technology. That's on the screen too. We're utilizing it right now. Let us not be afraid. Not one more day. Not one more day to get involved. We got to get off the sidelines and get in the game. See, the typical mutual fund holds more than 150 stocks on average. Don't be afraid of that word stock. Educate yourself as to what it means. It means ownership, ladies and gentlemen. You've always heard it's better to own than to rent, right? So here's how we've been locked in far too long as renters. See, when we send money and we order from a McDonald's, or we order a computer, or we get that Verizon phone, or whatever company we're talking about, if we're not a part owner by owning a part of the company, either by way of stocks or mutual funds, we're renting. See, the owner gets a profit. The owner shares in profit. The renter doesn't. See, we've been renting far too long and not necessarily understood it. And you might ask, what if it goes down? I'm going to speak to that in a second. But listen, let's say one of these companies didn't have a great year and the money manager pulled them out because that's their job. There's 149 companies still to hold up our investment. All this means is listen, have you ever called off of work? You have. Did your company shut down? No, it didn't. It just kept going until you got back. Someone else kind of picked up the slack. That is the same way, ladies and gentlemen, that mutual funds work. It's the same way in how they operate. Okay, so I know this is new to us. We're 20, we're 30, we're 40, we're 50 years old, and we've not heard this. No one's ever talked to us this way. But listen, you're never too old to learn this. And in a lot of cases, ladies and gents, we're not too young to learn this. I really feel that this information could be and should be taught in schools. I don't control that curriculum. All I can control is my zip code, and I do the best I can, me and my team, to make sure that our part of the wall is being built. So this is dollar cost averaging. I'm going to show you ups and downs in the market and how we got to think about it. Remember, thoughts, feelings, action, results. Okay. So investor A is in what we call a rising market. So if you look, okay, their share price started at $10. And share price, right? Share price, all that is, a share is a thing. A chair like I'm sitting in, a computer I'm talking to you through. It's a thing, it's an item. Okay. So the share price started at 10 and it rose all the way up to 20. Okay. So you can see that there, investor A. So that's a rising market. Most people would probably choose that. Okay. Investor B is in a fluctuating market. So if you look, they both started at $10 per share. Well, again, investor A is took off upwards, right? And investor B, right, there was fluctuation, crashed down $2 per share. Most people are very leery about that. But listen, it made it back to 10 where it started. Some people might say, man, it barely made it back. Perhaps. But let's look at how this whole thing plays out because we got to understand the mindset behind all of this. All right. A lot of numbers on the screen. I'm going to walk you through it. Don't panic. Okay. So, investor A and B, if you look, they're both putting in $100 a month. You can see that on the far left side of your screen. Both of them are buying again at $10 per share. So, listen, traditionally, I've had to work very hard in math. but I can still do this and you can too. So $10 per share divided into 100 means that they're purchasing 10 shares or 10 items, let's say. All right. Month number two, investor A, remember it's rising. So the price is rising, the cost is rising. 12 into 100 means this person purchased about eight. Well, investor B, their cost is going down. Okay, this is the one everybody's afraid of, but watch. Investor B cost went down to $7 per share per item, let's say. 7 into 100 means he purchased about 14. I'm going to jump to month number four. Month number four, investor A's cost is at $16. It's still going up. Well, investor B, this is that crash, man. It went down to $2 per share. This is where most people panic. I want you to think from a different place. See, investor B, the cost is only $2. Well, 2 divided into 100 is 50. Investor B purchased 50 shares or 50 items, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. What's happening right now, I want you to think buying bulk. I want you to think, Sam's Club or Costco, something of that nature, right? Just think sale. All of us love a good sale. Yes, we do. All of us love a good sale, whether it's on a car, whether it's, preparing stuff for a holiday, we got to get our groceries, right? We love sales. Okay. So listen, let's run this out. After 6 months, let's say both investors say, hey, I'm ready to exit. Just could you tally me up, send me what my thing is worth, right? So we say, how many shares have you purchased? Well, investor A has 42 shares and investor B has 126 shares. So I'm going to ask you who actually made more money, right? Investor A, if you multiply the current price, which is $20, by 42 shares, 42 times 20 is $840. Hey, it's not bad. Not bad, right? But investor B, let me see if I can go back for you. There we go. Investor B, $10. It barely made it back to where he started. $10, but he's got way more shares. $10, ladies and gentlemen, by 126 shares, that is $1,260. Investor B clearly made more money. But how does this happen? Because they stuck it out. See, when the market goes down, those who know how this system works, it's a system, guys. Those who know how it works and can manage their emotions about this money, or have someone that is trained, self, right? Like myself, we can help you get through the emotional time and just think about the mathematics and the equation behind this thing. So see, you'd rather have the 1,260, right? The 840 is not bad, but if you knew you could have 1260 just by sticking it out, you'd stick it out. Last year in 2020, there's a big dip. That pandemic really hit home here, and man, it scared a lot of people. It bothered a lot of people. The market was thrown off. Ladies and gentlemen, it was thrown off for 1 month. That's it. 1 month in the scheme of however old you are is not a long time. If it was a year, 1 year in the scheme of your 20 years, 30, 40, 50, 60, that's 1 year that it might have been down. You're not going to give up everything over 1 year, are you? I pray not. Okay. So I see some folks in the room. I want to appreciate you guys and thank you guys for joining. Right. I want to go to our next step, which is step two. Right. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this one. If you want, I encourage you, take a screenshot, grab your phone and just take a quick picture. This is called debt stacking. You may have heard Dave Ramsey refer to it as debt snowballing. It's the same thing. It is free. It doesn't cost you anything. All it costs you is some discipline, right? It's showing you how to pay your bills in a different manner, right? If you look along the bottom, the amount that you're paying, it never changes. The amount never changes. We're not asking you, Dave Ramsey, no one's asking you to pay more, right? We're simply giving you a way to pay the bills differently. So, just one example, right? All these folks, all these creditors are getting a minimum payment. Okay. The retail card number one, once it is paid off, you take that entire $220 because you're used to sending it to retail card number one anyway. Take that whole 220 and I want you to add it to credit card number two. So the new payment going to credit card number two is now 573 instead of 353, which it was before. Everyone else is still getting minimum payments. You're still sending out $2,720. Okay. But as you start to pay things off, you just keep adding or stacking, or as we might say, snowballing to pay this stuff off. So, again, I'm going to give you a quick second to take a quick screenshot because it's important. If you can't figure it out, again, let us know. Reach out to us, right? Okay. Hopefully, that was enough time while I was kind of talking about it. So, step number 3, protecting your income. This is a tricky one, and let me tell you why. It's tricky because the entire industry, except for one company, the entire industry believes in the power of what's called cash value life insurance. They sell it every day, they market it every day. That's about all I can say about it. But there's one company that does not ever sell cash value life insurance. And by the way, cash value life insurance is the kind that you can borrow from. If you have a savings connected to your insurance and you can borrow from it, it is cash value insurance. I want to show you how this works. So before we arrived, right, John had $150,000 worth of cash value. You'll know it as whole life, universal life, index universal life, right? John had $150,000 worth of coverage. We changed that to 400,000. That is more than double, ladies and gentlemen, right? Mary had 150,000. We changed that to 400,000. Why? Because 400,000 is way more in alignment with actually protecting their income. See, what you're looking at here is not $150,000 worth of life insurance. That's not what you're looking at. What you're looking at, right? If something happens to John or to Mary, God forbid, divided by 10, you're leaving. So 150,000 divided by 10 years, right? That's $15,000 a year. That's it. Most people make more than this, you guys. So to have $400,000 worth of coverage, divide that by 10 years. Now you're leaving behind $40,000 a year. Most people are going to need more income to survive. It's called survivor income. The children before we got there were covered for zero. This is not good. We have paid claims, unfortunately, right? We've paid claims on children before. So to have a little bit on them is a very smart thing. It's not wishing anything negative. Ladies and gentlemen, we are preparing for the inevitable. We're reading this thing. And when I say this thing, I'm talking about the book. I'm talking about the Bible. But are we reading it? Or are we just sort of hearing what's talked about maybe from the pulpit? Are we reading memes and stuff on social media? Are we stopping to actually understand what it says? When it says study to show yourself approved, when it says study, and learn what to do with your money, when it says leave an inheritance to the next generation and the one after that, are we doing what's necessary to actually be obedient? Okay. The total protection before we got there was only 300,000. When we got there, now changed everything. It's 810,000. This family is way, way, way more protected, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, the monthly premium on that other insurance for less coverage, they were paying $295 a month for only 300,000 for their household. At age 65, the cash value, see, this is where they get us. They tell us, wow, at 65 years old, you're going to have 124,000. See here, we ain't never had that. And I know I'm not using my college, vocabulary and all that kind of stuff, but come on, man. We've never had $124,000 in our hand or in our account, most of us. So to think 124,000, that's mind blowing to us. But see, what should be mind blowing is that instead of paying $295, you could have 810,000 for only $126. And here's what happens. So you were already used to paying $295. So if I just keep you in that same number, that same budget, we'll take $295 minus 126. That leaves you $169 left over. I show you how to invest in those mutual funds. I walk your hand and hold your hand in hand, right? That's $500,000 at age 65. Do you understand? You're giving away 500,000 to the insurance company? Why? It ain't your fault. Let me say that. The insurance industry is trained to teach you what's on that left hand side. They're trained to give you that expensive cash value insurance. They will ignore term insurance if you don't know to ask for it. But listen, some folks, they'll just do the term insurance. And I will tell you personally, term insurance without the mutual fund investment on the side to match it, it's a plan, not together, but on the side, it's almost just as bad. You got to have a full plan. You got to have a strategy, right? So you got to have your mutual fund and your insurance. But listen, if they showed you, if the insurance company showed you these two things and they told you nothing else, I'm pretty sure you'd pick the one on the right hand side. But see, again, they're only showing you the one on the left. You are doing the best you know how. You are insuring your family. So kudos to you. I'm proud of you. But now that you are seeing something different, I want you to really investigate this. Listen, I want you to be so adamant that you say, "Hey, where can I learn more about this? How can I take a class on this stuff?" And they're out there, ladies and gentlemen. I can personally enroll you in a class to learn about this stuff. If you don't make a dime, but you learn how to protect your family, I promise you that the theme of this particular breakout is building wealth through a pandemic. If you can learn the basic principles, if you know what it takes to not be taken advantage of, you're on your way. Okay. So listen, this is the theory of decreasing responsibility. This is not taught. Okay. This is how life works, ladies and gentlemen. In the green bar, in the early years, you may need a lot of coverage. Why? Oops. You need a lot of coverage because you have children, aka responsibility. You got some debt, maybe. If you don't, I'm super proud of you, right? You might have mortgage or rent, either way, but the loss of income is devastating. If your income goes away, all that other stuff goes away too. Why? Because in the orange, we don't have a lot of money saved. I told you earlier, we're not great at passing stuff down. This is a way for us to change all that. See, as you start to shift and you get further to that right hand side towards retirement, listen, I am praying your children are grown and on their own, right? I am an advocate, ladies and gentlemen. Can we stop putting our children out at 18? Other communities and zip codes don't do that. The world is not fully, we're not fully prepared at 18, right? Now, when you hit retirement, I pray that they're able to, you taught them how to fish, they can do it for themselves. Right now, at retirement, our debt should be lower or hey, paid off. Mortgage, low, paid off. Because see, if that happens, all you got to worry about now, living expenses, travel. Unfortunately, in today's time, we got to worry about, medical and stuff like that, right? But if that was it and nothing else was a concern for you, you have freedom, like you have breathing room. But see, it takes a plan. You got to insure yourself early in case you don't make it here. I'm praying you do. And if and when you do make it to retirement, I'm praying you put away money because what happens is if all the responsibility is lower gone, you got to have money to live. There's no effective way to live off a life insurance policy while you're still alive. That is a fact. No company's really teaching this except for one. It's the one that I represent, Primerica. What life insurance company do you know that will teach you how to cancel, eliminate your life insurance by the time of your retirement age? I promise you, it's only one. Why? Because the industry, the only way they get paid is by keeping you in whole life insurance. Why do you think they call it whole life? They want you to pay on it your whole life. I know it sounds different. I know it's challenging. I know it's scary. It's only scary because you've never heard this prior to today. You heard, but how am I bury my folks? With money. If you have money, money spends everywhere. You can take money to church. You can take money to the grocery store. You can take money to, God forbid, the cemetery. But listen, we're talking about things that are inevitable. Again, if we're studying the book and we're talking about ash to ash desert, right? We return from whence we came. If we know we're going, why don't we plan for it? If I know I'm going on vacation, don't I plan for it? If I know I'm going to a greater place, y'all feel me? If I know I'm going there, why don't I plan for it? I hope I'm not too much for y'all this morning. Listen, to build true wealth, you must control the manner in which you create income. We as a community have always been taught, always, to do whatever we can to work for a great company. We were never traditionally told that we should, we need to, and we are worthy of owning a great company. Big difference there. See, if you don't control your income, it's going to be, it'll prove difficult to build real, true wealth. Listen, I'm not saying that you got to quit your job. If you got that call and that sign from up, hey, go for it. Take the leap, right? But you can also learn. You can do your 9 to 5, right? And you can use after hours, 6 to 9, 6 to 10, to build the understanding, to educate yourself, to work on your craft, to master your craft, to start selling goods, start selling services, right? You can do that in your after hours. No one said that you got to leave work and turn on Netflix. No one said you got to veg out on the couch. No one said this. Everyone, I don't care who it is, has the benefit of 24 hours a day. It is up to you how you choose to spend those 24 hours. I understand you're in a place. I understand you got to feed your family. I understand you have responsibilities, but I also understand what you need is income. Notice I didn't say you needed a job. I said you need income. Hey, for a period of time, I had both. I worked a full time job in the music industry, and I started working and growing this business part time. When I was laid off from my job and they said, hey, we don't need you anymore, I took myself 20 minutes, being transparent, 20 minutes, and I had a good one. Good old cry. After 20 minutes, and this is only, ladies and gentlemen, because I had started working on my craft a year and a half before. I was going to miss the people that I was working with. They were my friends. I was going to miss some of the perks, right? When I was working, it was free tickets to concerts, and I was going to miss some of the perks, man. But I knew there had to have been something greater because I didn't close the door to the job. The job closed the door. So that means it's time to move on. Hey, you can do both. You can. Even if you got kids, here's what I want you to do. I want you to challenge yourself to look at your children, and I want you to make them the reason that you do more. Even if it's an hour a day, there's a reason, and that reason is your spouse, right? If you don't have one of those, it's the children. If you don't have any of those, what I want you to do is go stand in a mirror. Stand in a mirror, you will be looking at the reason that you can do more. You'll be looking at the reason that you should do more. You'll be looking at the reason that you're worthy of more. So you got to control the manner in which you create your income, because if you do, the pandemic doesn't affect you the same way. You can work from home if you need to. You can travel to some of the places that, are a little bit safer medically, and you can quarantine there and you can work from there. How do I know? Because we did it. I was extremely blessed to stay at home, protect my family as best I could from these things, and still be working, right? It's an amazing thing to me that our income was up by 35% in this crazy time. That was amazing to me. It was an extreme blessing. Ladies and gentlemen, we did get sick. The month of December 2020, I couldn't do anything but try to keep my eyes open. I was one of those people, man, it knocked me down. I did not have a financial worry, and I had to look myself in the face and say, hey, man, you got to go to a different mindset. All right, Miss Levine said, know your why. My why was this big at one point. It's gotten bigger. My why is you got to get so bold. You got to be telling this information from a mountaintop. You got to join these symposiums. You think I'm talking now because of no. Let me explain something to you. I am extremely introverted. I was built for a pandemic to stay in the house, and I was trained for it from birth. but that doesn't help anyone outside of my little bubble. I had to burst that bubble, or it was the bubble was burst for me. I had to get beyond that and stretch myself to say, you've got information, you've got a wealth of knowledge, and you got to be way more active and way more compassionate about helping people get what you've got. Okay. So here's my information, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Again, my name is Arion Rushing. I'm proud to represent the company of Primerica. I am proud to be regional vice president. I'm proud to be the leader of the Gladiator Squad here in Torrance, California. Right. You can follow me on Instagram. I'd appreciate it if you did. Right. Only posting good stuff. Right. There might be some jokes in there too. Hopefully you can handle those. Right. But listen, the phone number is there. My email is there. What I encourage you to do, there's a survey up there, right? It's bit.ly, bit.ly slash PRI. That's PRI, short for Primerica. PRI happens to be, some other stuff, can't really advertise. But PRI, you'll find it. PRI web survey. You type that whole thing in. You got to type it exactly as you see it. Take a screenshot, okay? You type that thing in, it'll take you to a very short survey. It's only 4 questions. You got time. Stop that. Do these 4 questions, man. Let's stay in touch. See, the way that these things happen, the way that these blessings come about is it has to be divine. I don't know what else it is. I knew nothing about this had it not been for, again, my friend and brother, Reverend Cedric Nelms. I knew nothing about this. I met Cedric by accident. We were doing college, or I'm sorry, career day. That's what it was. We were doing a career day, and we happened to be standing next to one another. We sparked up a conversation, and we've been tight ever since. You never know what one door can lead you to, right? So I encourage you, get all of your questions answered. Please don't run from this. Doing the head in the sand, it doesn't work. Not in the short term, right? Ignoring a problem, thinking it'll go away, it doesn't make it go away. Oftentimes it amplifies it and makes it bigger. Okay. So I'm so very proud to be here and to just share. Right. My heart is full this morning, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I know that there's a few guests here. If there are any questions, please let me know. I do want to talk with everyone possible to get this information. There's a bunch of workshops we can do, and we can do them virtually. Right. We could do it through Zoom or any other platform, but we're here, man. We're here, and the knowledge is here. So let's spread it. Just gonna check real quick. Miss Levine, you said you need to learn. Let's talk. Brother Leroy, you said income versus a job. It's a huge deal. Let's see. How do I find someone to invest money for me? Found him. um, have no idea how to purchase or teach me how. Listen, you found them. Our approach is always going to be education first, and it's education consistently, right? The market's always changing, the world's always changing. Most importantly, I just don't want you to be afraid. And the way that we become unafraid is by way of learning one step at a time. The way that your children learn to run. First of all, they had to learn to turn over. Then they had to learn to push up. Then it's the crawl, the stand, and we kind of wobble. We might fall down, right? But you encourage that child, hey, get back up. You okay? Right? And please understand, done right, investing is systematic. It's not risky. That was the whole point of that dollar cost average and all the numbers and stuff. That was the point of that, right? We go over this stuff all the time, over and over and over again. I'm happy to teach. I'm happy to encourage. One way to really understand it, we teach this all the time. Get licensed in it. We can help. I'll help you get in a class, right? Our company will pay for you to get your license. See, if you become a steward of your own money and your knowledge, no one can ever take advantage of you because you know how to read the contracts. You know how it works. You know how to negotiate. All that kind of stuff comes from, right? So you got to be in the environment of business people to learn business. Right? If you're in the restaurant industry, you don't know a lot about restaurant industry because that's your circle. But if you want to learn something about another industry, you got to, in some way, put yourself into that industry. Um, So I don't see any other questions in the chat just as far. I'm not quite certain if you all are able to, if we're able to speak via this platform, but I left the contact information that was up there. And yeah, if you have anything, I would love to talk with you and chat with you further. I'll put the contact information back up. I think I can do that. Yep, there it is. So here's the contact information again. The survey is there. Very, very simple. Very simple. So I'm going to mute just for a second and just kind of give it a second, see if there are any other questions. And if there are questions, I believe I'm here till 9. Happy to answer those. I believe this is being recorded. So you have an opportunity to go back and review these things and we can check out the other sessions. Hoping to network and grow with all of you, right? And one thing that I encourage, I don't think we're great in our zip code with networking. We can easily refer people back and forth to things that they might need, expertise that they might need. Some of it we're not even interested in, right? There's some things I'm not interested in. I don't know how to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you about it. I'm just being transparent. I'd rather get you to an expert in that area. We got to become good and then great at saying, hey, that's the guy you want to talk to. Now, when someone does that for you, you got to be good at making sure you deliver. Okay. So again, I'm going to mute her and say, oh, I'm sorry. Brother said, thank you, man. Thank you for being an encourager. Thanks for the comments and the invite, man. Without you, I know nothing about this. You've always stated, man, that you have a gift of connecting people. I truly believe that. You have the gift, man, of just meeting people and embracing them. You know, you're a big old teddy bear, and you're able to do that with so many people and just provide. So I encourage you, right? Because I know the encourager needs to be encouraged. I know the tough one needs somebody to lean on, right? So be encouraged, my man, that you are on the path that you're supposed to be on. Hey, just wanted to let you know I do see the comments. So, Reverend Doctor, I look forward to talking with you. I look forward to building with you. That's what this really is about. It's about building. So, I did also kind of grab some information as well. So, let's be in touch. Let's stay in touch. Let's build together.